I'd like to call this meeting call the meeting of April 24, 2024 Traffic and Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. Can you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 24th, 2024 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission. Ms. Vasquez, can you please call the roll?
Chair Hayek,
Present.
Vice Chair Callahan,
Present.
Commissioner Amell,
Present.
Commissioner Orozco,
Present.
Commissioner Pletcher.
Present.
Okay, now we're on to public comments. Ms. Vasquez, can you please make the public comments announcement?
This is the time and place for public comments. Registration for public comments is available for those wishing to address the Traffic Commission regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers for a specific agenda item shall be called and heard during that specific item. All remarks should be addressed to the Traffic Commission as a whole. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the Traffic Commission unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city engineer for administrative follow-up. No individuals have requested to speak on this item, and pursuant to Traffic Commission standards, if we did, they are allowed 3 minutes for the record. No written statements as well. Also, please silence all cell phones during the meeting, and please remember to mute your microphones when you are not speaking.
Okay, seeing that there are no speakers, we'll move on to number 5, which are summary notes. Are there any comments on the summary notes from the committee? Seeing none, let's move on to number 6, engineer's report. Can we please request the Associate Engineer, Masood Razavi, to present our first engineer's report, which is an information item. And just for clarity, our responsibility here for this item is to receive the staff report, give the public an opportunity to input, and provide feedback to the city.
Can you hear me? Oh, good. Chair Hayek, Commissioners, good evening. Today I'm providing you with an update on the Hillcrest Drive Bike Lane Pedestrian Improvements Project. This project was brought to the Traffic Commission last February, and we provided the department report to the City Council last April. We received positive feedback from this commission, and the City Council approved the project on April 25th and authorized the design contract on November 14th of last year. What I'll be sharing with you tonight is another phase of our community outreach efforts, their demonstration phase. Let me begin briefly by reviewing the project before moving to the demonstration phase. Hillcrest Drive runs east-west and connects Westlake Boulevard to Teller Road. Except for the project limits highlighted in red, this road is striped as a 1 or 2 lane roadway in each direction. This shows the project limits from Moorpark Road to Lynn Road, which is a 1¼ mile long, 6-lane divided roadway with raised center median and without bike lanes. Improvements within this area include converting lane number 3, the outside lane, to Class 4 separated bike lane in both directions, shown in red, and constructing the pedestrian sidewalk from McLeod Avenue to Lynn Road, shown in blue. Here you can see existing conditions on the top of the picture and a transition to the concept plans of Class 4 separated bike lanes that will be shown later in this presentation. These photos show the existing condition on the left and the rendering of proposed conditions on the right. That's after the completion of the project. The project objectives include improving all modes of transportation safety, particularly pedestrians and cyclists, improving access to transit and shopping, connecting the missing links that exist in sidewalks, and complying with accessibility requirements. Now I would like to discuss the demonstration phase of this project. This demonstration is a short-term, low-cost, temporary roadway phase which will be used as a pilot to a long-term design solution to improve walking and bicycling. This demonstration phase will temporarily reduce one lane in each direction by converting lane number 3 into a bike lane using temporary control devices such as cones and signs. The primary goal of this phase is to demonstrate the council-supported design concept for the permanent active transportation program on Hillcrest Drive between Moore Park Road and Lynn Road. Other objectives include temporary installation of infrastructure in anticipation of a longer-term permanent project, provide a real-time experience of the permanent project, demonstrate that the roadway can operate successfully with 2 vehicular travel lanes, offer hands-on participation from community and stakeholders, educating and increasing awareness of active transportation, and provide community the opportunity to experience the impact of the lane reduction and give feedback to staff on the proposed improvements through feedback form on the project website, emails, and phone calls. The demonstration phase will be for 2 weeks in mid-May of this year. That allows us to evaluate the future improvements prior to school summer break and while avoiding any holidays. Staff will conduct before and after traffic measurements, and the findings can be incorporated into the final design. In order not to have a large impact on the traffic operation at Hillcrest Drive and Moore Park Road intersection, the demonstration area will be from Wilbur Road to Lynn Road in the westbound direction, and in the eastbound direction will be from western entrance of the Oaks Mall Drive to Wilbur Road. We'll use multiple modes of communication for this project, including changeable message signs. This is to communicate with motorists and cyclists, and project identification signs at the beginning in each direction. Our communication mediums will include a survey on the website, advertisement in the Thousand Oaks Acorn, once in advance of and once during the demonstration phase, social media through City Scene, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. This is what will be shared with the on the social media and the newspaper ads highlighting the dates and location of the demonstration phase, as well as the need for the community feedback. I'm going to quickly run through the next 6 slides, which shows the demonstration phase, and just want to reiterate that the demonstration phase is temporary and will utilize traffic cones. I'll be using the concept plans to show you the demonstration phase control devices. These have been overlaid in solid red lines in the next few slides you see. The concept plans are similar to the slide earlier in the presentation. As you can see, we'll have a CMS in advance of the start of the demonstration location, and the reason for placement of the CMS in the left turn pocket instead of normally on lane number 3 is to ensure cyclist safety in the shared lane. The traffic control devices will begin and end east of Wilbur Road in each direction. This is done by tapering lane number 3 and shifting vehicles to lane number 2 using the traffic cones. And after each intersection, there will be signs separating the bike lane and travel lane. This will allow the cyclist to utilize the lane number 3 during the demonstration phase. And traffic cones will delineate the bike lane from the travel lane. Similar to the completed project, this demonstration will delineate the bike lane and right turn lane into the businesses and at each intersection. Just a reminder that this demonstration will not have any restriping, roadway restriping. And of course, we're going to have additional CMSs in each direction to provide community with multiple opportunities to observe the messages. The delineation will be revised at the fire station to accommodate the operation of larger emergency vehicles. Starting location of the project missing link sidewalk is just west of McLeod Avenue on the north side of Hillcrest Drive. Here's the end of the westbound and then the beginning of the eastbound segment of the demonstration phase, tapering from lane number 3 to lane number 2. And the project's timeline began February of 2023 with a presentation to the Traffic Commission. We've added the demonstration phase to the original project schedule that was presented last year. Our outreach efforts to date include public outreach that was performed by our traffic division in July of 2021 that focused on potential reduction of lanes on Hillcrest Drive from 6 lanes to 4 and adding a buffered bike lane in each direction. And our Traffic Commission meeting in February and the department report to City Council in April of last year. Our ongoing efforts will be this demonstration phase and future Traffic Commission and Council meetings. These meetings will offer the public opportunities to provide feedback to the city on the proposed pedestrian and bicycle enhancements. As we move ahead, we'll conduct further outreach efforts, including focus meetings with the Oaks Mall at different stages of the project development. Recommendations at this stage of the project are to consider staff report, receive public input, and provide feedback. After completion of the community outreach, traffic studies, and environmental reviews, the project design concept will be brought back to Traffic Commission for additional review, recommendations, and input, and to the City Council in advance of the project's construction phase. This concludes our presentation of the Hillcrest Drive Bike Lane demonstration phase, and we'll be more than glad to answer any project-related questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions? Chair, Mr. Emmett?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Razavi, thank you very much for the report. Well done. I have one question. So it looks like the city has already put up a website about this project, and admittedly, I haven't been to the website. But has the city received any feedback or comments from the public as a result of this website? I don't know if there's a feature on the website that allows direct commentary, but if you know.
Project website was developed well in advance of the project starting. The link for the survey has not been put in there. The project website itself is longer than what we can put on the message boards, changeable message boards. So we had to shorten that. The new website with the toaks.co/Hillcrest, that one has the survey in it, and I believe it will be live before we award any contract for the delineation.
Okay. One more question. So you know the missing segment, the missing sidewalk segment of this project, is that going to result in a narrowing of the street, or is the sidewalk being built with the existing curb as it is?
The sidewalk will be behind the existing curb as it is. We have enough right-of-way, city right-of-way. Will we be reconstructing the curb and gutter? Because right now it's just a rolled curb. It'll be an 8-inch curb and 18-inch gutter that'll be there. So there's no encroachment into the street, into the travel lanes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Pletcher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Razavi. I guess I had just a few questions. Could I ask you to go back to your slide that talks about the objective slide? I think it's the demonstrate council-supported design concept and a few other items on there.
Can I just make a request to maybe for ease of process? If we number the slides, I think it's easier because then we would just know, like, can you go back to slide 6 or whatever
Oh,
it is?
that's, yeah. when we get there. I think it was a couple more back. It was one of your first. Oh, I think we missed it. There it is. I just want to confirm because I heard from a lot of folks, already some of the general public that are excited about obviously seeing this project move forward. They were concerned as to the demonstration phase and what was staff's goal in getting this feedback. So I guess it's a couple parts. I appreciate that you put it demonstrates the council supported design concept, but with regard to, I guess, to the survey, what is staff looking to kind of ask the public about? I mean, is the feedback going to affect the design phase? Is what are we looking to accomplish with the survey in terms of staff goals?
Yeah, I mean the opportunity, and I guess maybe it's not a survey as much as a feedback form. It's not a statistical valid survey necessarily, but the goal is to collect whatever input that the public may have, positive or negative, or that can be contemplated or factored in. And this is similar to most projects that we do that affect travelers or affect the roadway. It's part of our outreach program. In this particular case, we're trying to expand that outreach because of the larger scale, the change of this project going from 6 lanes to 4 lanes. We did a similar survey in 2021, and the majority of the feedback was in favor of the project, and that's kind of one of the reasons why it proceeded forward. We went and got grant funding, and council has authorized and approved the design and engineering to go forward. So that's the long and short of it. I mean, we don't want to limit or focus people toward one type of feedback. Whatever feedback they have is welcome, but at the same time, the city council has already approved the project to proceed into design, so there is support from the council in that regard.
Okay, so I think that's kind of what helped me address some of the questions I was getting was this is already a city council approved project, so it isn't like when we did the feedback on restriping Hillcrest a few years ago where we solicited feedback and just kind of, for whatever reason or not, just kind of walked away from that idea and said we're not going to restripe. The ship's kind of already theoretically sailed on this project, right? We're just looking to kind of use the feedback to maybe craft and fine tune the project. Is that a good way to describe it?
That would be a good way to put it. Yes.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask: is there a goal of staff, kind of coming back to, is there a goal of staff in tracking? We're putting down these temporary cones, tracking what bikers use it, or are we going to look at that kind of feedback as how many bikers are now going on it versus before, or what's our goal with our biking community?
Part of this is for us to get that feedback, to find out how many bicyclists or how many cyclists are going through it, what's being used. That's going to be a measurement, one of our measurement tools. I think we will have some data that we're going to be able to go and use it in our design to see what needs to be done. So that's really is the extent of it. A lot of it is going to just simply be a camera sitting there and looking and recording, and somebody afterwards sits there and counts how many cyclists have gone through. So that's what we're trying to do, and we also are going to be measuring the travel time between each phases to see actual vehicular travel time, to see if has any effect. And that's why I was kind of real-time experience and get that vehicular operation in there, that the 2 lanes are, they're not going to cause any issues with the travel time.
Okay, so we're not anticipating any. The capacity of that road is well,
Correct.
Yeah, in fact, as part of our design and engineering process, we are doing a traffic engineering study to look at current and future projected traffic volumes, and that study indicates that it's fine, that the roadway is more than sufficient with the 2 lanes in each direction. So this is just kind of an add-on to that, to physically represent that or to demonstrate that to prove that point, basically.
And then even assuming with the general plan update and all the kind of the higher density anticipated to go in there, we're still okay on, future traffic volume? Just what we're, at least as of right now, what the numbers look like?
Yeah, we're still in that process and doing those calculations and reports, so that it hasn't been concluded fully yet, but that's what it appears to be the case. And that's one of the reasons why, going back to the question about is the missing sidewalk going to be built into the roadway, which potentially it could be cheaper to do it that way, but we're trying to not also physically make the street smaller permanently, just in the event that in 10, 20, 30, 40 years for other purposes, or an autonomous vehicle lane or electric bus lane or flying cars or whatever happens, there's the roadway still there to be repurposed and things to happen, that if necessary.
Got it.
And not be locked in and spend extra money to make it even more difficult to have to demolish things in the future. So keep some flexibility.
Perfect. I mean, I heard Boeing's working on their flying car for you. So,
Yeah.
I guess my final question, talking to some of the members of our biking community and are we taking this to, broadcasting and letting, BAT know, our advisory team, bicycle advisory group know about this? And the one feedback I did get from some members was it's going to be, they wanted me to convey that to have only 2 weeks of this temporary demonstration period may not result in bikers changing routes or making it, just because of the short amount of time. Our bike community it was expressed to me, kind of the bike community is very kind of entrenched in the routes they ride and why they ride. And so I just wanted to kind of convey that of like, there may not be the numbers that we hope right away, just because it's a 2-week kind of trial period. Which I thought, was a decent point, just because it's just such a short.
Well, I think the more primary concept is to prove to the motorists that the
Right.
life can go on just fine with the 2 lanes. And the bicyclists, I mean, we will be doing quite a bit of outreach. Our city communication team, and then some of our traffic team is here too, that is in contact with the BAT and can obviously do quite a bit of publicizing of this ahead of time in early May, that they'll let everybody know this is coming up May 13th to 24th, and that opportunity's there. And so in the city, we're doing a lot of blasts, and this coincides with Bike to Work week and Bike to Work day and Bike to School day, which is also during that 2-week period. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Callahan?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Rizavi, thank you for the report. I think this is a great project. A lot of the questions, have been asked. I don't see a lot of downside to doing this. Just one thing I wanted to confirm. These areas that you showed us tonight, none of them have street parking. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I just have 2 questions. When we do something like this, do we look at the timing of the lights on the street? Because if we're going from 3 lanes to 2, then the queue becomes longer at certain periods of times. And we've all been there where you go to red light, then you go to the next one, and it's a red light, then you go to the next one, and it's a red light. So do we adjust, or we look at the timing of the lights?
Jim?
Our senior engineer, Jim Mashiko, can help address that question. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, that's something that we're going to be taking a look at. As Mr. Razavi mentioned, we're going to be doing some travel time runs before and after. We've actually started some travel time measurements in the current condition with the 6-lane roadways. And then once the cones go down, the signs go up, and the temporary bike lane is installed, we're going to do the measurements of travel time again. And then while we're doing that, we're going to be taking a look at the signal timing. But we don't anticipate a need to change the signal timing because of the, at least from the volume levels that we're looking at, most of the green time is going to be default, green to Hillcrest Drive. And then the only time it really needs to change is when the cross street traffic at each intersection, vehicle comes up and, wants to enter Hillcrest Drive. But we're running cycle links out there. I think we're running like 2-minute cycle links. So usually every 2 minutes, then the vehicle on the side street will have an opportunity to enter Hillcrest Drive.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have is, can you go to the picture where it was Hillcrest leading into Jan's?
Lynn?
Leading
to
into
Lynn.
Lynn,
To Lynn.
sorry,
You
Lynn,
bet.
sorry. So, right now, so if you're coming down, it's 2 lanes, and then it goes, those 2 left turn lanes are what get you onto the 101, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then, my only concern here would be, it's just a short run to go, you're going from 1 lane, 2 lanes, and then down to 1 lane for anyone who wants to go straight onto Hillcrest. It does split into 2 there at the end. Just approximately what's the length of that? Do we know approximately? From the corner of Lynn to where it turns from 1 to 2 lanes, right next to the turn lane.
Yeah, it's probably about 150 feet or so,
100 feet. Yeah.
Jim. Yeah, that's the intent at most of the intersections here, is to, and again, this will be finalized with our traffic control plan for the deployment, but the concept of this project is to, although we're going from 3 lanes to 2 in each direction, that we open it back up to that 3rd lane at the intersections, so that can be the deceleration and turn lane into each street, and not people not having to do that from the number 2 lane and back up the traffic if they're trying to make a right turn.
There is a right turn lane.
Yeah, in
Is that
this
what it
case,
is?
there's a
Okay.
dedicated one, and it's a little bit different because this is a more major intersection. So in
then-
fact, it's opening back up here into 2 lefts, 2 throughs, and a right.
Okay. So 150 feet, that's roughly 10 to 12 cars in each lane, so that's 20 cars queue of people wanting to go straight on Hillcrest. But the left turn, obviously, so just judging by this, the volume on the left turn lane's far greater than the volume of the number of vehicles that go across Lynn, Hillcrest to Hillcrest?
Correct.
right?
Yeah, as you go west on Hillcrest, there the amount of activity or commercial activity kind of diminishes, and there's a lot of open space and lower density activity. So yeah, the primary movement there is that double left to get onto the freeway.
Thank you. Okay, no other questions? Do we have any public comments on this?
Yes, we have 3 individuals that have requested to speak on this item. No written statements, so just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, let's have our first speaker.
Okay, so the first speaker is Benjamin Kuo. Benjamin, when you log on, make sure to state your name and residence for the record. You will be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time to speak is up. Benjamin, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. Yeah. So my name is Benjamin Kuo, K-U-O, and I live in Newbury Park. My comment concerns the use of only temporary cones and signs for the test period. As a cyclist, I have just restarted bicycling locally to stores and to run errands due to your efforts to paint new bicycle lanes. So I applaud you for that, and it's been great. So I wanted to suggest, having just started doing that, the temporary cones are not likely to attract all, as they won't provide any adequate protection from vehicular traffic, and particularly on that route. As you probably know, that's really quite a life hazard now for any cyclist to go on that road. I would not ride that road now, just the fear of my life. So I think you're just going to collect the wrath of local drivers and negative feedback from them, since you'll likely not see any additional bicycle traffic, even just for 2 weeks. So I would suggest maybe a more useful point would be to look at things like getting cyclist feedback on the type of barriers and maybe colors and the types of styles as the more productive thing. So anyway, that is my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker is Jack Bernard. Jack, please click unmute and state the name and city of residence for the record. You will be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining and again when your time to speak is up. Jack, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you hear me all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Bernard. I am a now part-time resident of Newbury Park / Thousand Oaks, as I am studying urban technology at the University of Michigan. But as a cyclist who lives near the Oaks Mall and frequently uses Hillcrest to get from Newbury Park to Thousand Oaks, this project is obviously necessary, as we have said multiple times throughout the process of this project getting to the stage that it is. The current situation is unacceptable. It's inconvenient and uncomfortable at best, and it's unsafe at worst. With the general plans changed to mixed-use development around the Oaks Mall, these lanes are even more necessary to foster active forms of transportation to and from this area. I am also confused as to why the 2-week demonstration period is being proposed. I wanted to ask city staff, has this been done for any other bicycle lane project in Thousand Oaks? Has this been done to any other trafficked project in Thousand Oaks, as a matter of fact? Because I do not recall of that, but I am curious. And is this common practice in other areas? This trial, I also believe, will not demonstrate the full effects of protected bike lanes to any party experiencing the test. Cyclists will feel little to no improvement and may get confused over the trial. Cones on a roadway for 2 weeks will do nothing to engage new cyclists to test out this new configuration. Only current riders will experience the proposed changes, which obviously is not that many, and they have been calling for this change for years, so they're obviously not going to be in opposition. Drivers will not feel the effects of the protected lanes and this roadway due to the fact that, as previously mentioned, this will engage no new cyclists in the community to get out of their car and try biking on the roadway. Therefore, there will be no VMT reduction. I would also like to ask staff, is this demonstration period required for this project, and why was this added on to the project? Feedback was already gathered for the project, and it has already been counciled. As a matter of fact, the exact changeable message signs shown on the slides were out on Hillcrest Drive for weeks about a year ago, so I don't understand why we're doing this again. I would really appreciate if we stop beating around the bush, install the lanes like we agreed upon, and I just predict this trial will create many upset drivers who will complain and no happy cyclists who will praise the project. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I gathered 2 questions from there. Do we want to address those questions? So one, is this required? And 2, is this something that we normally do, and have we done it before?
Yeah, I can comment on those. Is this a required element? No, we figured it was a nice aspect or an accommodation to do to really primarily for the drivers and for the congestion's sake, to demonstrate that the roadway can operate with two lanes in each direction. The primary goal is not to attract bicyclists to Hillcrest just for a short amount of time and then tell them, okay, sorry, your bike lane is gone again. It's more so to channel the vehicles into the 2 lanes and to demonstrate that, again, as we mentioned, that it can operate satisfactorily with those 2 lanes. So it's an aspect of our public outreach campaign. It's an additional piece, and we also think it's an important piece so that when we go to award the final construction contract, the city council can have more confirmation or surety in their mind that, look, we've even actually done the project temporarily for 2 weeks. Everything was fine. The vehicle traffic was fine, and it gives them an extra kind of insurance policy that we are making the right decision when we go do this project. And we've done that by spending $20,000, and before we go spend the multi-million dollars to do the actual permanent improvements. So those are kind of the responses there. It's a new feature. I don't think we've done something in this regard on other projects. We've maybe put message boards out or other aspects, but I don't believe we've done a temporary installation of this feature before. But we thought it was a good idea to do that as an enhancement, and also kind of bring more attention to the project. That's part of the goal as well. Too often you hear comments at the, when you go into construction on a project that nobody had any idea about this. What is this? We never had a chance to comment about this. So we're trying to bring the comments, out of the woodworks as early as possible and address them and get people kind of behind the project. We would like those, those people in favor of the project to comment and to do the feedback form and the survey on the website. And even though maybe they have already expressed that feedback before, but that also helps too. It's, you want to hear from everybody involved and not necessarily just those that are, not in favor of the project. So that would help. We also don't have, just for funding limitations, to go and install a permanent, to install the project permanently and then take it away and then install it again in the future. There's just simply no budget for that. And this permanent, this temporary traffic cone demonstration is, all we can muster up at this point, short of going and spending the funding in the future when the actual project gets approved. So I think those are the general comments so far. I think we have one more speaker. Yeah.
Okay. Our last speaker is Diego Martinez. Diego, you will click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You will be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time to speak is up. Diego, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
So I'm Diego Martinez. I'm a resident of Santa Rosa Valley, but work in Thousand Oaks part-time. I also, I agree with the other comments. One thing about the trial period, I would like to see more, like putting more effort into our bike infrastructure, trying to reduce VMTs. It seems like the final design should really be the trial period design, especially if the bollards are going to be plastic. I know it's expensive, multi-millions, you just said, but if you think about how much car infrastructure costs, it's really not that much in comparison. So for the final design, I know it's already approved and everything, so I would love to see either concrete or steel bollards and not plastic, so that it actually can't just get run over by a car and a car can't just easily go into the bike lane veering off the road. I do like that it's on Bike to Work Week, the trial period, and I understand that it's mostly to demonstrate to drivers that they don't need a million lanes. Also about the intersections, I would love to see more effort put into safety at intersections. I'm sure you know the vast majority, the majority of crashes happen at intersections. They're the conflict points. So that's the worst types of crashes and the majority of crashes.
You have 1 minute.
Bikes should be crossing the vehicle's path of travel at as close to possible to 90 degrees. These parts where there's like a right turn lane and it's a very shallow angle and you have the green dotted striping, that's much more dangerous than if you make the car turn first at a sharp radius and then interact with the bike path like 20 feet or so offset. And it should be a better field of view for the driver in the car, being able to look both ways. And yeah, I think that's it. Just more effort at intersections would be great. Don't give up at the intersection. That famous quote. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego.
That was our last speaker.
Correct on this item, yes.
So before we close to the public comment section and open discussion, does anyone on the commission have any questions for staff? Seeing no questions, we'll close this item and move on to discussion. Mr. Pletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I appreciate all three of the public comments this evening. It's always good to hear from the public, especially our biking community, about this project. I guess just as I realize we're receiving report and feedback, and just as a discussion point where I kind of sit with this, I think it is an interesting experiment to try this and do this, and it'll be interesting to see the results. My only concern is just hearing from my only, I guess, concern is just taking the driver feedback with kind of a grain of salt, because I'd hate to have staff kind of, and I realize you can't backpedal on the project, but kind of just take a second step back and reassess and reanalyze, and I just would hate for that to happen because of a trial period of 2 weeks. I mean, traffic issues just always seem to, they bring out the best in some and the worst in others. And, I applaud the city council for taking a chance on this project and city staff for working on this project, because it's something we certainly need if we're going to accomplish our long-term goals with the general plan and the new the density designations down in this area. So, it's just my hope that we look at the feedback of this survey with kind of a grain of salt and really understand where they're coming from, but at the same time not necessarily backpedal or hesitate because of some feedback that you may or may, hopefully may not get. But no, I mean, other than that, I think this project's fantastic, and I appreciate staff for trying something new with this demonstration phase, because I think it'll give you some good results. And I agree, Mr. Razavi. Actually, I'm not quite sure who said it, but you take it to council for that design phase buy-in. I know our council will appreciate just getting that extra 2 weeks to kind of get that feedback and be a little bit more secure in pushing this project forward. So thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Mr. Immelt?
Thank you, Chair. So I too agree that this project is a positive one. I don't see how you could see it any other way. The one thing I guess I didn't count on was that the demonstration phase would generate so much controversy. When I first read the report, I thought this was a great idea. I thought, if this is a public outreach mechanism to demonstrate to the public what is coming, rather than give them some rendering or a picture of what it's going to look like, why don't we let you experience it for 2 weeks? My initial thought was, I didn't think 2 weeks was long enough. I thought maybe we can extend it 1 more week. I don't know how much it costs to put cones out and signs out, but I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could just extend this for another week, maybe another 2 weeks? And as Mr. Haydari said, it's not necessarily to attract more bicyclists for this temporary period of time, but I think in line with Mr. Pletcher's comments, or Commissioner Pletcher's comments, for the city to be able to take a more measured view of the comments that it does get from whether it be motorists or bicyclists, the more time you have to let those comments and that feedback roll in. And of course, you're going to get negative comments, okay? I mean, you're not going to please everybody. But I think you can take those comments and you can use them to better or improve the project. I just think that my comment is, why not roll it out, the temporary demonstration phase, for a little longer than 2 weeks? Because, I mean, we're a small, big city. I don't know how many people are going to get down to Hillcrest, during that 2 week period, but I would just like to see it out there for a little bit longer.
Ms. Orozco?
Thank you, Chair. And in terms of this project as a whole, I just want to say that I too am very excited. I'll echo the sentiments of my fellow commissioners that any chance that we can take to really advance, biking and active transportation in our community is something I can definitely get behind. One sentiment that I did want to echo as far as Diego Martinez's comments was his concern over the plastic partitions. I understand that there are financial limitations as well as concerns of future development or future changes. But I would really love to see some exploration when it comes to some options for the partitions. Understanding that the plastic partitions might not draw as much attention for bikers, or they might not feel as safe. Some cyclists have expressed that concern in addition to Diego, and so I'd be really curious just to see, as we enter into this design phase, what that possibly could look like.
Mr. Callahan?
Thank you. Again, thank you for bringing this to us. I think it's a great project. I'm a believer in the demonstration phase. I like that idea. It's an opportunity to measure twice, and really see it. And if any tweaks do need to be made, it gives you that opportunity. And I really like the observation that our chair made about, I believe it was Hillcrest and Lynn, where it does consolidate to that one lane for 100 feet, and it's something I didn't catch. And let's see how it plays out with the cones. I think it's a great observation, that we can have, and if a little adjustment needs to be made, that would be an area that I'll be really curious to see when you guys come back what you thought of that spot. But no, I'm in favor, and I encourage as many people as possible between now and the next update to give feedback.
To Chair, I keep calling you Chair because you were the chair. Came up. Mr. Armel's point, the $20,000 for this phase of it, does that change by length of time? I mean, I'm assuming it's set up and takedown basically, right? So if you extend the amount of time, does it increase the cost? Unless you're renting a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, all of it's being rented, but obviously a good portion of the cost is the mobilization, demobilization, setup and takedown. But there is also some maintenance costs or daily upkeep and so forth. But yeah, that's definitely something we can look into. Also regarding the design and the style of the partitions, as we're referring to them, that will be evaluated. Different options will be looked into. The project as currently funded and as funded by the grant does not include any large, robust wall or concrete partitions or anything of that nature. But that is going to be in our design evaluation analysis, and that would ultimately be City Council's decision if they want to increase the budget for the project. I have heard some reservation about putting larger and larger obstructions in the roadway for purposes of emergency evacuation and so forth, or there's some flexibility of not having that third lane be completely impassable. So there's a lot of different things being weighed and evaluated to come up with the best option. We have seen some of those other options or other agencies which have just the plastic bollard by itself. We've also seen some that have like a base on there, so that it does, if you were to veer into it, you're not paying attention, it pushes the vehicle back into the travel lane, and it's not necessarily, like this is one particular possible example as well too. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's not just the plastic delineator sticking up out of the glued to the ground. So a lot of different options, and that's one item that we're currently working on with our engineering consultant to come up with the different strategies and options, and that's we are endeavoring to bring that back to the Traffic Commission for review, along with some update on how this demonstration project went.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to 6B, which is our second engineer's report. Information item presented by Associate Engineer Mark Bueno. And again, our our charge here is to receive the staff report, obtain public input, and provide feedback.
Thank you, Chair Hayek. The informational item before you is related to two key transportation planning documents that are scheduled to be updated this year. The two citywide documents I am referring to are the Active Transportation Plan and the Traffic Impact Mitigation Fee Nexus Study. The city adopted both studies in 2019, and staff endeavors to update the documents every 5 years to proactively manage our transportation infrastructure on an ongoing basis. A copy of each of these documents is included in the agenda packet for your review. I will start with a brief overview of the Active Transportation Plan, also referred to as the ATP. Active transportation refers to any form of human-powered transportation, such as biking or walking. These modes of transportation also reduce vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions. The ATP is a long-range plan that was developed to provide the city with planning guidance for non-motorized travel infrastructure improvements, which are intended to make biking and walking safer and more enjoyable. The goals supported by the ATP were to develop an active transportation-friendly environment, identify a network of walkways and bikeways to connect neighborhoods to activity centers, and provide a roadmap for education and the promotion of active transportation. The ATP is also required when applying for state and federal grant funding for pedestrian and bicycle improvement projects. The ATP is a data-driven plan. As such, existing and missing sidewalks, as well as existing bicycle facilities, were identified at the time the study was conducted. The ATP takes into account key data, including but not limited to nearby land uses, traffic volumes, vehicle speeds, collisions, and transit routes. Public outreach was also part of the data collection. The data was then used to determine the areas with the highest propensity for walking and biking to provide recommendations for active transportation improvements citywide. Based on the data, physical improvements to enhance bicycling and walking were recommended. The recommended improvements are meant to serve as a guide to help the city allocate local funding and grant funding as they become available. It should be noted that the order of proposed improvements serves as a reference and do not imply which route or project should be built first. Implementation depends on the availability of funds and is tied to the priorities of the city's capital projects. This is a before and after example of an ATP recommendation that was implemented on Willow Lane. Generally, the pedestrian recommendations aim to maximize connectivity and accessibility. Sidewalks are proposed for neighborhoods and areas that currently have sidewalks but have missing sections. The bicycle recommendations focus on constructing missing gaps and completing the bike network. I will now be shifting gears and will provide a brief overview of the Traffic Impact Mitigation Fee Nexus Study, also referred to as the TIMF Nexus Study. The TIMF has been an ongoing program with traffic fees calculated since 1966 to help the city invest in transportation infrastructure to keep pace with the new development and associated traffic growth. The most recent study was adopted in April 2019, which analyzed 38 of the city's busiest intersections based on level of service, or LOS. LOS is commonly used to measure how an intersection is operating. LOS A represents free flow conditions and little delay to pass through the intersection. LOS F represents very congested conditions requiring multiple cycles before proceeding through the intersection. At the time the study was conducted, the city maintained a minimum LOS C at most signalized intersections. There are specific intersections on Thousand Oaks Boulevard and Hillcrest Drive that were acceptable at LOS D. Included in the TIMF Nexus study is a projected intersection LOS in the year 2040. The projections consider potential traffic growth from future developments. Intersections that were expected to operate below the city's acceptable LOS were identified. The study also identifies roadway improvement projects that will aid in the mitigation of intersections projected to operate below acceptable LOS. Roadway improvements range from simple signal timing modifications to physical roadway widening. In order to fund the recommended improvements resulting from projected traffic impacts, the study provides a fair share fee schedule that assesses a developer's cost to accommodate the new trips added to the street network by their development project. Different land uses generate varying amounts of trips, and the fees reflect these differences in demand. The fee schedules of other nearby cities were also used for reference. It should be noted that the fees are updated biannually to stay current with construction costs. That concludes the overview of the ATP and TIF Nexus study. The next steps for the two updates are listed here. A request for proposals to update each planning document is scheduled to be issued by summer 2024. It is anticipated that both plans will be completed and adopted by spring 2025. Public outreach will be a part of the planning process for both projects, and the draft documents will be brought back to the Traffic Commission for an in-depth presentation prior to adoption. So with that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the commission have any questions for staff? Mr. Pletcher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess at this point, knowing that timeline, what exactly are you looking for tonight in terms of feedback and comment? Because I wasn't quite sure. I mean, I know the ATP, for instance, just through, being involved in BAT and this body and everything. What exactly are you looking for tonight?
So this is just an overview presentation, just to kind of give a background of what these two documents are. And as I mentioned in the presentation, we'll be coming back to the Traffic Commission with more details and a draft. There will also be a community outreach component. So during that time, we'll be reaching out to BAT, the community, business owners, and all of that. So this was really just to kind of essentially serve as a reminder of what these documents are and what's to come this year.
Okay. No, perfect. I guess my only then comment as you go out for proposals and looking for people to come in is I just want to, I guess, confirm, are you planning to, like BAT talks about, has that table in there that talks about intersections and areas, for instance, of the city that are high bike collision areas? I mean, is the idea that whoever's going to be updating this is going to go in and reanalyze all that and pull all that data, and we're going to get fresh data? And
Yes, that's correct. So everything on the current ATP will be reevaluated as part of this update, and any additional projects or revisions will be made during that time.
Okay. And then are we going to incorporate all the general plan update and all the environmental analysis that the general plan update did, and kind of, join the two together, I guess, in this ATP update?
Yes, that's correct. We'll be looking at the various city plans and specific plans, and making sure they all work in concert together with this update.
Okay. And then the only other thought I had, just as you look at creating a proposal, is making sure, I mean, there's some mention of like the Caneo Schools Foundation and the ATP, but really taking a second, and I think it's worth including all the improvements that we've done over the last year or so with the crossing guards and the focus on walking to school. And I think it's also worth making sure that as you guide this project forward, that we do a lot of extensive outreach with the CVUSD and talk about, because they have a lot of positive, their District Advisory Commission, for instance, is really now focused. District Advisory Commission, just for context, is each school site meets together once a month to discuss issues going on, just from a parent and outside perspective, and meets with district staff. They've put an increased focus on walkability to school and riding to school, and supporting our crossing guards. And I definitely think it's worth making sure that as you move this project forward, outreach is done at the district level as well, to get feedback, and especially with the district advisory committee, because I think these parents have something to say. I can tell you from sitting through a few meetings on my own, they've got a lot to say, and I think it'll be valuable feedback for you. So
Thank you for your comments. We'll take that into consideration during the public outreach when we reach that portion.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Ms. Orozco?
Thank you, Chair. To echo sentiments that Commissioner Pletcher just mentioned, in addition to reaching out to our schools, I think it would be a really interesting idea and a really important one to reach out to our youth, particularly our high school youth. I've been getting a lot of feedback from the high schoolers and people in that community, just that they find it particularly difficult to navigate the city independently without vehicles. And so I know that this is the active transportation plan, but in addition to folks utilizing our bus services and things of that nature, making sure that we're incorporating them into those comments and that feedback, just so that we are ensuring that they're able to, access things like CRPD activities, from one end of the city to the other, or, if they have a job at the mall. So making sure that we're incorporating not just, in addition to our cyclist community, and in addition to our crossing guards and our walking to school programs, but also our active youth.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And I know that our transit team just recently presented to the Youth Commission to get them up to speed on all the opportunities they have, in particular at this current time, which youth and students are able to ride for free on the city's 5 different bus routes citywide, 7 days a week. So that was that's good, and we want to continue to invest in that. The Youth Commission being it consists of high school students right now, and they have kind of a leadership capacity, and they have each a lot of contacts and channels that they can spread information, and that'll definitely be one of our outreach elements with the ATP as well. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? Are there any public speakers for this agenda item?
Yes, we have 2 individuals that have requested to speak, and no written statements were submitted.
Okay, can we have the first speaker, please?
Our first speaker is Jack Bernard. Jack, you're going to click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You'll be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time to speak is up. Jack, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hello, go ahead, Jack.
Hello, everyone. Jack Bernard again. I have appreciated Thousand Oaks' continued effort toward improving cycling infrastructure and other modes of public transportation. I'm a utilitarian biker who uses my e-bike to get around town, and I have felt the benefits while riding to school, riding to grocery stores, riding to the transportation center, riding to the train station in Moore Park, and riding for pleasure around the community. Buffered bike lanes make a big difference in the cycling experience, and separated paths are even better. Riding to the library is a breeze once I get off Hillcrest and Moore Park Road due to that. While I appreciate the city's continued conversations and thought put into cycling infrastructure, the improvements made over the past 5 years since the 2019 ATP was adopted is, simply put, not enough. I would appreciate city staff's comment on these numbers because I do not want to misrepresent the work that has been done so far if this is inaccurate. But from my research and observation, out of the 36 recommended improvements to corridors and intersections in the 2019 ATP for cycling, only 10 have been completed in the past 5 years. That's only 27% of the recommended amount of improvements identified in the ATP. What is extremely frustrating is almost every single intersection or corridor identified in the report are places that I frequently ride in the community and constantly wish there was better cycling infrastructure to support my sustainable choice of mobility. Over 72% of residents in 2019 indicated that separated bike paths would make them more comfortable biking in the community, yet very little progress on these types of projects have been completed. Many of the changes outlined in the ATP are very basic, dare I say generation-old improvements to cycling infrastructure such as Class 2 bike lanes and sharrows on slower streets. These are not radical, expensive improvements that we should be sacrificing much for. This is the bare minimum. I wanted to add a +1 to youth engagement. Youth already use active forms of transportation to get around. You can just ask my middle school aged sister. All of her friends have motorized scooters or mountain bikes and often bike out of Sequoia to Starbucks or other businesses. I would also like to remind us that we had a death in the city on Kimber in the bike lane where many youth currently travel. So again, I would like to ask the city staff to confirm my numbers if able, and I would also like to request the number of recommended improvements overall and the improvements implemented made from the TIMIF report if this information is readily available to compare. I also would encourage lots of sharp focus on public transportation in the next ATP and consider a public transportation information campaign on how to navigate the bus system in the 21st century, utilizing apps like Transit and Google Maps for route planning. I feel like many residents would like to take public transportation but have no idea where to start. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Do we have another speaker?
Yes. Our next speaker is Clint Foltz. Clint, click unmute and state your name and city of residence for the record. You'll be reminded when you have 1 minute remaining, and again when your time to speak is up. Clint, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Clint Foltz. I'm a resident of Thousand Oaks and a member of the Conejo Climate Coalition and Ventura County Yes in My Backyard. The Conejo Climate Coalition would like to provide commentary and express support for this 5-year update of the Active Transportation Plan. With over 60% of our city's greenhouse gas emissions being produced by transportation, we believe the following items require additional attention. We need to maximize public transportation ridership, which will help reduce the negative impacts from traffic while increasing transportation accessibility for community members. One way to help increase ridership would be to provide more crosswalks and improve existing crosswalks, which would maximize convenience and safety when accessing bus stops. Another issue is investing in protected bicycle lanes has significant potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lower transport costs, prevent road fatalities for all road users, and improve quality of life. We would like to see the city plan for and implement Class 4 protected bike lanes around densely populated areas and schools, especially connecting Moore Park Road, Thousand Oaks Boulevard, Hillcrest Drive, and Herbs Road. We would also like the city to identify the proposed frontage road, which I believe is going to be called Main Street, within the remodeled Civic Center as pedestrians and bicycles only. We would like the city to set a timeline for finalizing a Thousand Oaks Boulevard lane diet study. Road diets enhance safety, increase mobility, increase access for all road users, and help to create a complete streets environment to accommodate a variety of transportation modes. According to the California Air Resources Board, our state must achieve a per capita vehicle miles traveled reduction of at least 25% by 2030 in order to meet our state's climate goals. We need a walkable and bikeable community with easily accessible public transportation. We have no time to waste. The climate crisis, it's already here.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
No other speakers.
No other speakers. Does city staff want to respond to the speakers' comments and questions?
Yes, that would be appreciated. Some of the comments alluding to Class 4 bike lanes, as the commission is aware, there's a few large projects already in the works for that for Hillcrest and Lynn Road, and obviously those are projects that the city would like to complete and then have before additional ones are deployed and evaluated for other areas, so we can ensure that those are operational and meet the needs of the community. As far as the remark about 10 projects being completed since 2018, that seems like a pretty good progress from my vantage point. The ATP lists, all of the gaps and the suggestions for the future, and to have chipped away at a good chunk of that in the last 5 years, I think is good. It's particularly since there is no dedicated funding source for these type of projects. Each of these staff has to take the recommendations and then pursue grant funding for and try to cobble together other local funding that we can in order to match and basically create each of these projects. So we anticipate that we'll continue with this great momentum that we have, and having completed several on the 2018 list, I think is a positive, and we will look forward to seeing the next recommendations in the next ATP, so we can continue going down this path and investing in this. And it is one of City Council's goals. They had their goal and priority reset meeting last night, and it appears that active transportation projects is going to continue to be one of the top 10 City Council goals. Those goals will be adopted at their next meeting on May 7th. So I think we're all on the same sheet of music, and the Public Works Department looks forward to continuing to progress in this area for the residents and businesses.
Thank you. We'll close the item to public comments and open discussion among the commission. Who would like to start? Anyone? Okay. No questions, no discussion. All right, so we'll move on to our third engineers report, which is also an information item presented by Senior Engineer Jim Mashiko. This is item number 6C, and our charge is to receive the staff report, obtain public input, and provide city staff with feedback. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you, Chair Hayek. This is the third information item tonight to receive public feedback. And this one's regarding the new state law that requires a 20-foot clear parking zone approaching a crosswalk that took effect this calendar year. It's an item that the Public Works Department and the Police Department are collaborating on for the future enforcement period that begins in 2025. On January 1st of this year, Assembly Bill 413 went into effect, which amended Section 22500 of the California Vehicle Code to prevent parking or stopping a vehicle along a curb within 20 feet approaching a marked or unmarked crosswalk as depicted in this image. The new law aims to increase the visibility of pedestrians entering or attempting to cross the street at legal crossing points. If a crosswalk is equipped with curb extensions as shown on this exhibit, and we have a handful of these locations scattered within the city, a shorter 15-foot buffer zone instead of 20 feet applies. Curb extensions allow pedestrians to be further towards the street and increase the visibility of pedestrians, hence the restricted zone is shorter. The ability for the police departments to issue citations for offending vehicles goes into effect next year in January of 2025. Until then, the local jurisdictions can issue warnings or other public outreach measures to raise overall public awareness of the new law. The restricted parking stopping zone will create some minor inconveniences, as you can imagine, for the motoring public as a result of the loss of some on-street parking, particularly where parking is in very high demand near commercial zones, school zones, and streets adjacent to multifamily residential complexes. It's impractical to mark every intersection approach within the city with red curb or signs, and therefore we have no plans to mark the 20-foot zones near the crosswalks. Enforcement of the new law will instead be treated in the same manner as fire hydrants are treated, which have a 30-foot clear zone requirement. Low compliance intersections will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis to determine if signs or curb markings may be needed based on public requests for specific locations. The City and Thousand Oaks Police Department plan to begin a public outreach education campaign later this year so that the public is well aware of the new law when it goes into enforcement in January of 2025. We're going to be looking at the city website to advertise this, the new law, social media platforms, Public Works Week, and other avenues. So with that, the recommendation is in the staff report, and we're open to entertain any questions of the commission on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we open the public, are there any questions? No questions? Are there any public speakers on this item?
No speakers and no written comments.
No speakers? Okay, we'll close the public portion, so we'll open it up to the commission for discussion, if there is any. Mr. Pletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, just pivot back to questions. I apologize. I'm
Sorry.
late to that. Just a couple things to confirm. With AB 413, is this intersections in residential, commercial, anywhere in the city if it has a marked or unmarked crosswalk for an intersection?
Yeah, it's basically any intersection, regardless of what zone it's in, whether it's residential or commercial. That it's not specified in the law as to what zone that these intersections are located. So we're looking at every intersection in the city.
Thank you. And I know the city you mentioned the staff report, city's obviously not planning to paint. It's a lot of paint. I completely understand that. My only thought is correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope that I am, but are there not on some roads, I'm thinking more like residential or near school zones, where we have signs, for instance, of, you have a sign that says, no parking from here to here, but then you can park, along the rest of the road. Is there going to be any change to signage to, because I would hate for drivers to sit there and be, oh, I can park to the end of the road or to the intersection because the sign is telling me I can. But this law is going into effect that kind of conflicts with what that sign's already saying. So I guess my question is city staff going to look at that, or are we just going to handle that on kind of a case-by-case basis? Or is that a better question for the deputy of just how fast can you write that ticket? Or
Yeah, I think we're going to look at those, like you mentioned, on a case-by-case basis. We spoke with the police department. They indicated that there will be a period where warnings will be issued, and if they maybe observe an issue with the way the location is currently marked or signed or something like that, they can bring it to our attention, and then we can make adjustments into whether or not additional red curb marking or the sign may need to be relocated. Those kind of things would occur. So we're going to work closely with the police department, and because they're more the eyes out in the field, and they would let us know if there's an issue that needs to be resolved.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And then can we just detail how long is the outreach for the public going to be, just in terms of, I think all the channels are great and everything you mentioned. It seems like we're hitting all the points we normally hit in terms of public outreach. Length of time, or what's staff's plan for outreach?
Yeah, I think that the outreach is anticipated to intensify really in the second half of the year. So it can have some more immediacy related to when the new law takes into effect on January 2025. And I know the TOPD is planning to do their own, via press releases and email blasts, and maybe the representative from the police department can comment on that.
Yeah, what the law enforcement portion of this, what we like to do is to get that knowledge out there to the community roughly sometime in November, towards the end of the year. And then again, at the beginning of the year in January, just acknowledging that the law is in effect. Our job technically would be to give motorists and owners of vehicles a grace period, anywhere between a minimum of 6 months to a year. We're working with a vendor right now on warning citations, which we would allow, or we would cite those vehicles that are parked within the 20-foot distance, and it would be a warning. It would be documented. So after that grace period is over, then if they're cited again, we could look back at our tracking and notice that they were cited once before, given the warning, and then once that grace period's over, then we can start enforcing it.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any other questions? Mr. Emmett?
Thank you, Chair. And like Commissioner Pletcher, I'm kind of recycling back to questions. I missed. I wasn't quick enough to raise my hand. But I was looking at this statute, Vehicle Code Section 2250, and I noticed, it's way in the back of the statute. It starts with subsection A, and down in subsection N, there are these exceptions to this 20-foot. I guess I'll call it, no parking zone, right? And so it does say that a local authority may establish a different distance if the following requirements are met. And that is that A, or little I, a local authority establishes the different distance by ordinance. That includes a finding that the different distance is justified by established traffic safety standards. And then it's a little double I, a local authority has marked the different distance at the intersection using paint or a sign. I understand that the city really is not interested in going around and painting curbs or sidewalks. So I assume that is out of the equation. The city's not really considering any other distance, any other shorter distance.
That is correct, and I think that's twofold. That may add some confusion. If well, first of all, I don't think the city has any feeling of a need to deviate from this state law, and then secondly, if we had our own requirements, then it would be very confusing for residents or people visiting. Oh, though Thousand Oaks is 12 foot, but that's 20, and the other city I came from, and then that would be harder to even kind of roll out and get consensus on the whole program. Plus, as you mentioned, then we would have upwards of a few thousand intersections that we'd have to put signage and striping. And as the commission is aware, our residents have a high level of sensitivity to any striping or any signage in their neighborhoods.
Right. And I assume the same is true for the second exception is for commercial vehicles. Again, you'd have to paint the curb if you were going to make that exception. So
correct.
Yep. The one exception that did interest me though was the last one, which was a local authority may permit parking for bicycles or motorized scooters within 20 feet of a crosswalk, and no painting of the curb is required for that exception. And it seems to me that don't ask me why somebody would want to park a bicycle in the street, but I suppose it happens. It would not present much of an obstruction for somebody who's approaching the intersection to see a pedestrian standing on the corner and wanting to cross the road. So is there any interest in that exception for motorized scooters and bicycles?
Yeah, I mean, by and large, as you mentioned, we haven't seen those being placed in the roadway, particularly in residential neighborhoods. I suppose there could be an opportunity for them on the boulevard, or maybe that's related to those when you have these bike rental stanchions. Or other means, but it's also my understanding that the police department's probably not going to be focusing on ticketing bicycles within 20 feet of an intersection either. So primarily focus on vehicles. And
inquiring minds want to know. We definitely want to know.
Obstructs the intersection with pedestrians. Bicycle's not going to obstruct vision. Motorcycle or electric bike's not going to do that as well.
Yep.
Vehicles such as large vehicles, SUVs, trucks, and crossovers would provide most obstruction, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, still on questions? What else? Okay. No more questions? Any discussion?
Just to thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to respond to the commissioner's exceptions, I think that the Teal Boulevard idea for the bicycle parking, as we kind of build up Teal Boulevard and look at some of the projects and what we want to do over the next decade or so on the boulevard. Especially with the high density and some of the projects that recently just got approved by Planning Commission on Monday, for instance. It's a great addition for the, consideration for the active transportation plan. It should definitely put that in there. But, no, I generally like that idea, at least of the exceptions, limited areas, Teal Boulevard and kind of your downtown corridor where we want to put our campus master plan, for instance, would be a great kind of concept exception there. So thanks, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? I'll just say that coming from the West Coast, this has been a normal way of life since I got my driver's license. So frankly, I was surprised coming to California, you could park right under a stop sign in the corner. So I recognize the safety and the benefit of it too. So, all right, thank you for the report. There's no further discussion. So we'll move on to item number 7, which is status report of prior traffic commission recommendations.
Okay, yeah, we have a list of 3 items under number 7. 3 items that the commission previously heard. The first one is the Thousand Oaks Boulevard crosswalk that's currently under construction. It's been halted at this point as we're awaiting delivery of steel poles and mast arms so that they can complete the project later this year. Second item was the Hendricks Avenue speed hump petition request that was heard last January. That petition was appealed to City Council. However, at this time, we're reviewing alternative measures to see whether or not those might be able to mitigate the traffic concerns, and then we'll go from there. We'll share the information with the residents on the outcome. Third item is another item that was heard in January, the road standards plate 3-10, which is used to evaluate sight distance at T intersections. That plate has been revised. We're going to be rolling that out with a number of other road standard plates that are going to be that are currently under revision, and that's going to be reviewed by City Council in fall of this year. So that concludes those 3 items.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, number 8, commission referrals. There are none. Number 9, work program and commission schedule. Any questions for staff? Mr. Pletcher?
One quick question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in terms of our commission schedule, I know the numbers don't count, but I also know that we've been out counting crossing guards and intersections, and I just wanted to see, is the results of our feedback going to come back to us at some point this year?
Yeah, that's listed under the future agenda items. So that will be coming, the report, we should have that report by next month. So I would anticipate then that the following Traffic Commission meeting, potentially in June, we would be ready to have that information to show this year's 2024 counts.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, number 10, Traffic Commission comments, discussion. Any comments or discussion from any of the commissioners? Okay, we'll move on to number 11, future meetings, consideration and possible cancellation of the regular Traffic Commission meeting scheduled for May 22, 2024. Do we need further discussion on this, or is there a motion? Is there any?
Yeah, at this time, there are no agenda items for the May 22nd, 2024 meeting that are pending or that are anticipated.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move to cancel the regularly scheduled Traffic Commission meeting for May 22nd, 2024, and adjourn to a date uncertain. Did I do that right, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, although do we have a date for the next scheduled meeting?
Yeah, I believe that's June 24th. Let me, that would be the following month, and June 26th.
So cancel, I guess I'll amend, cancel our regularly scheduled Traffic Commission meeting for May 22nd, 2024, and adjourn to our regularly scheduled June meeting.
We have a motion. Any discussion? Vasquez, take the roll, please.
Chair Hayek,
Yes.
Vice Chair Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Amell,
Yes.
Commissioner Orozco,
Yes.
Commissioner Pletcher.
Yes.
A motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're now on to item number 12, which is adjournment, and 7:30. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.